Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to our next Thrinchie. So we're on Thrinchie number 3 and I am loving them. I can see these are going to be addictive. Now I've just ordered these little books for my website and they should arrive in about 10 days, but they're available on pre-order at the moment and there is free shipping on orders over £10 until the 7th of January at 11:30. But these are on pre-order now, so I've ordered these and I may be ordering some more Pink Pig products, but we will see. But we're now on Thrinchie number 3. So let's grab our Thrinchies. The Thrinchie card is on the website. It's on pre-order at the moment. It's about 5 days because they sold like mad. So they're just on pre-order, but they're coming back in stock. So I'm going to add a circle to my Thrinchie. And what I'm going to do, just to stop that Thrinchie from moving around, I'm just going to take some low-tack tape because it's a smaller area that we're working on. So I'm just going to make a ring and then just add this to the back of the Thrinchie, just so that that will just stay put for me. And then I'm going to add this circle just to my card. It doesn't really matter where it goes. It'll only fit on because it's about 2¼ inches. And I haven't pulled the ink pads out. You couldn't make it up, could you? So I'm going to use seedless preserves, spice marmalade, mustard seed and candied apple distress oxide ink pads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the mustard seed. So I'm going to take the mustard seed, let's just move these out of the way, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of the mustard seed just over the circle. And I'm using my blending brushes. So I'm just using my blending brushes. It doesn't matter what size. I'm then going to take a little bit of the spiced marmalade. Now these are just to get us into our creative spirit and get us going and enjoying our creative hobby. And they're just wonderful small pieces of art that we can keep in our little books and they don't take up much room at all. So we've just used the spice marmalade. I'm then going to use some candied apple. So a little bit of candied apple. So let's just take a little bit of the candied apple. Like so. I can add a little bit more depth of colour if I wish. Just add a little bit more candied apple. And then I'm going to take the seedless preserves. So let's take a little bit of the seedless preserves. And I've just moved that a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Just place that back over again, no problem at all. And then just add the seedless preserves. But the good thing is the actual Thrinchie itself hasn't moved because I've added that low-tack tape at the back. So I've just got some of that seedless preserves. Let's just go back to a little bit of the candied apple. Now, the idea of these Thrinchies isn't to rush them. You still want them to look quality, even though it's a small piece of artwork. You still don't want it, you know, to look like you've rushed it and not put any thought into there. So just putting a little bit of the spiced marmalade. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more of the yellow. There we go. Look at that. Doesn't it look just beautiful? Just lovely. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my branched heart, which I can't speak at all, but because we want to sort of stamp through this, so let's just move this out of the way. Let's place that back so it's still sticky. So I'm going to cut this out of copy paper. Just grab any old pen that you want And let's just cut the same circle so that I've got the aperture out of copier paper. And again, you can keep these for future reference. I'm cutting on the inside of that line. I'm just going around that circle. I'm using my Pergamano scissors. You can use any scissors that make it easy for you. And these can easily be adapted to larger cards quite easily. So now I've got this aperture, like so. And of course, I've stuck it down, haven't I? There we go. So let's just add that over there. Let me make sure you can still see. Yes, you can. And then what I'm going to do is take the branched heart and I'm going to take the chevron. Let's take, I don't need a big acrylic block. And of course, I haven't got my black ink pad, which is about standard for Tracy. So I'm going to take my black ink pad. Again, just work on a flat surface, just applying your ink. This is Nocturne ink, the VersaFine Clair, so it's a permanent ink pad. So let's just give that a really good inking, lots of tapping. Again, I know that we're doing Thrinchie and it's a small piece of art, but again, we don't want to scrimp on the quality. We still want our Thrinchies to look good. So I'm going to stamp this sort of there, like so. Now I've cut the heart out of paper just so that we don't have a ridge, because we don't want any ridge on there. Because if you've got a ridge and you stamp through it, what will happen is, because you've got the thickness of the card, you'll end up with a gap, a white gap. The other thing I need to remember is I've used those oxide inks. So because I've used those oxide inks, the card is therefore less porous. So we just need to give that time just to absorb onto the surface of that card. And we'll just lift that up. There we go, just beautiful. If we lift this up, you can then see that we've got our chevrons just on there, which is beautiful. Now I can use the same piece of paper just to blot that. You need to blot the image because you've gone onto that oxide ink, and it'll just lift the first layer of ink. You can give it a dry with your heat tool if you wish, but if you blot that a couple of times, it just stops you from smudging your design. I'm then going to take my Garden Elements stamp, TE30, and I'm going to be using every single stamp that I've ever bought out because I don't want them gathering dust. I want to use them. Can you see that one bird is fallen out? Come here, little bird, where are you? It's because it's well used, again, like we did in the previous video. Let's just give the back a wipe. My stamps are well used. They don't gather dust on the shelf. They're well used, so sometimes we need to give them a little wipe, and hey presto, they stick all over again. So let's just take another acrylic block. So I've got my little wren, and then I'm going to add my little wren just here at the top of the chevrons. So let's bring this down here because it just makes it easier for me to stamp with. So I'm going to take my little wren, like so. Again, just tilt it. You can see there's plenty of ink on there, and hopefully try and not put my head in the camera, which I usually do. I can do it quite easily actually. Now again, you're on that oxide ink. You don't have to break your wrist by putting pressure on there. Just give that a little pressure. You don't have to give it too much pressure, just a little pressure, but never remove both sets of fingers from your stamp. Just give that ink time to absorb onto that surface because you've laid that oxide ink down. There we go. There we go. That's just lovely. Wonderful. So we've got our little wren on there, which is just wonderful. And then again, I'm just going to give the wren a little blot, just so that we don't smudge the ink, because you will get some ink off there. You will get some ink off there. So what I'm going to do then is just go back to my circles. It's a great idea putting this low tack tape down because it doesn't move, but then you can't pick it up. It's wonderful. Let's move this out of the way. So then I'm trying to make it so that you can see what I'm doing, which isn't always easy. I'm then going to use one of these small circles. It's about 1 inch, this is. And I just cut that circle using a punch. So I'm just going to use that circle. And what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of kitchen roll. And we're just going to take a little bit, I'm slinging everything on the floor, a little bit of water with my paintbrush. Just pick up that water. And now I've moved it completely. Let's have it there, that's it. And then I'm just going to add this water just to this circular area. And then I'm going to blot that. So it just picks that ink up. So I'm going to use some more clean water. So use that clean water again. Just pick up the clean water. And just allow that just to do its thing. You need a good quality cardstock. That's why I've had the Thrinchies cut from super smooth card so that all the techniques work. And then just blot this a little bit more. And if we lift this, there we go. Let's make that into, oh, I can't pick it. It's a good idea, she thinks, to just add this low tack tape, but then I can't remove it. So we can just make this a little bit bigger now, just so that you've got that circular area just there. And you can see that you're still picking colour up, even though it's very faint. There we go. So I've got that many things out here. Let's just bring in the branched heart. Can't speak. Just bring in the branched heart. And then there are these little hearts on the branched heart, these little tiny hearts. I'm going to use those. Let's just wipe that just so that we don't end up in a mess. Just use those little hearts. Bring in our aperture once again. So bring in our aperture. It's easier said than done with the amount of stuff I've got on the desk. So bring in the little hearts, or whatever you're bringing in. And then I'm just going to bring in the little heart here. There we go. Just bring in that little heart. I will add some touches of white, and then you're frantically looking for stamps. I'm just going to bring in, let's get rid of the little bird now. And on the branched heart, let's just put the hearts back, like so. On the branched heart is the word peace. So I'm going to use that. You can tell again, this stamp is well used. So I'm going to use the word peace. And just add that word peace just here. Again, I really don't need to press very hard. Let's move all these ink pads. And then let's just grab this copy of paper again. And I'm going to use my Posca pen just to go around the edges, away from the moisture. go around the edges of our card, just so that we've got that faux mat. And if I use the copier paper, it means that I don't get that black everywhere. So I'm just using this. And remember, in the first video I showed you how to protect the rest of your card if you were a little bit concerned. So I'm just using that just to create a little faux black mat. So let's move that out of the way. So we have our little faux black mat. Do you know, let me just grab the light. We want to add some splatters. I'm just going to there we go. So we've got the word peace, and then I want to just add a little bit of shading under the piece there, and a little tiny bit just under the bird there. So I want to make sure that I only touch that with a little bit of water, and obviously we use the brush to pick up the colour, so we just need to make sure that that is not going to add any more colour. So just blend that out a little bit. I'm just touching that with a little bit of water. I'm going to then add my touches of white. So I'm going to add a touch of white just to our little bird and the heart. And then I'm just going to add a few sort of touches of white just on my chevrons. And then I'm going to add some splatters with the smaller gel pen. Not gel pen, Posca pen. I keep calling it a gel pen. Don't know why I've suddenly called it a gel pen. There we go. And then we're going to bring in our little Thrinchie book, like so. Just so that you can see, we're just bringing in our Thrinchie book. And I love it because I can just look back on the book. It's easy to store. It's just wonderful. So we then add this to our page. Okay, where's the adhesive? How can you lose your adhesive? Oh, it's right in front of me. That's why. I'm dangerous. It's 2025, I've decided, you know, I'm dangerous. I can't even find something that's right in front of me. And of course, it's not going to work. Let's just clear that. There we go. Shall we try again? That's it. And then we can add our lovely Thrinchie to our page, and they just fit in this little book just wonderfully. There we go. I just love how they fit in the book, just so nicely. So if you turn the page, you can see those fitted in nicely as well. And then just turn the page, and it means that you use so many of your stamps, and we'll still do the snippets as well. It just works so lovely, just doing that. And then what I'm going to do, just with the little brush, where are you? Let's just clean this brush a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to flick a few little bits of water just so that we get some little touches of bleached out areas. What you have to remember is you're not working on a big project now. You're working on something a little bit more, well, a lot smaller. So I don't want to use big splatters so that we don't overpower the page. But just so that you can see that, those areas will now bleach out if I just give that a few moments. So I'll just dab that now, just so that you can see the little bleached out areas, so that we have Posca pen and we have some bleached out areas as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Now don't forget, even though it's a small piece of art, you want to still have a quality finish. So don't forget your little bit of shading. So if you're using your Inktense pencil, don't forget that little bit of shading, just to finish your projects off properly. Because the 3 inches doesn't mean that we're not going to do a quality job. So there is Thrinchie number 3. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're going to join me in 2025 and onwards for our Thrinchie journey. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.